welcome everybody to what is already the 16th episode of this amazing show where I, Robotron, offer you a spoiler-free glimpse into the wondrous world of movies and series and attempt to tell you whether it's worth a watch, even though you should already know that it's most definitely worth a watch and worth subscribing to my master's channel, liking the shit out of everything, commenting praise and love, sending gifts and gold, and hitting that bell icon so hard it will put the chimes of Big Ben to shame. Mr. Inbetween is an excellent Australian series about a criminal and a hitman and how he lives his life outside of his often dangerous job. We witness Shrew Smith juggle his roles of divorced, single father, friend, son, confidant and lover while doing the most brutal things in the name of his job. Mr. Inbetween is a very poignant and funny series that balances the reality of the situation with the irony of a man who has a code and a certain standard of ethics. Shrew Smith is a bad guy, but he is not an evil guy, and this is what makes this show perfect. He is not a John Wick, but it comes close. Despite his goofy features, Ray is not someone to mess with. The comedy in the show aren't punchlines, they're situational life-like comedic moments relieving you of the carnage and violence you will witness Ray and others doing. Mixed in with that are thought-provoking moments dealing with loss, emotions, morality and all kinds of things complicated humans deal with. I cannot recommend this show enough, and I would advise everyone to watch this show immediately. Smash that. Veronica was once again one of those movies that is proclaimed to be the most scary movie of all time, something which by now is a surefire way to know that it will be anything but. In Veronica, a group of teenagers use a Ouija board to summon the spirit of their father. As you might expect, things go awfully wrong and it becomes clear a demon entered our realm and is hell-bent for destruction. The main problem this movie has is that it takes way too long to set up. It is as if the creators didn't realize mankind has been watching movies like this for decades. Much like zombie movies where the protagonists never heard about an undead thing that eats brains before. By the time the movie speeds up to have the astounding reveal that a demon entered our realm, we're almost at the end of the movie. What happens next is expected and therefore quite boring despite the competent way it's been filmed. When the movie ends, you are left shrugging and ready to move on, till you see what appears to be real-life photographs from the actual case. Cause yes, the movie is based on true events from a 1991 Valka's case where Estefania Gutierrez Lazaro died in mysterious circumstances. Seeing these make you wonder what a good version of this movie would have been like. Drop that. The Ritual is one of these movies that is right up my alley and is very reminiscent of movies such as The Witch, Exorcism and others in that vein. A by now special genre of psychological horror that should have its own name. In The Ritual we witness a group of friends who go on a walkabout in the Scandinavian wilderness after the harsh death of one of the friends due to a robbery gone wrong. The remaining friends, dealing with grief and guilt, get lost in the dark and mysterious woods, a forest that is the territory of a Norse legend who starts hunting them as they try to get out. Don't expect the characters to run hectically down the woods, going from one jump cut to the other, while running away from a CGI beast shrouded in darkness because it's cheaper to do so. The Ritual is slow and plotting, meticulously planting seeds in the character and the viewer's head leading up to a culmination. The Ritual is tense and offers an interesting look into grief, guilt and the value of friendship. It's beautifully shot and will keep you enthralled until the end when you come face to face with an impressive mythological beast capable of looking into the dark pits of one's soul. Smash that. The Founder is the true story of the creation of McDonald's, by a sleazy cutthroat milkshake mixer salesman called Drake Rock, played by Michael Keaton, who pretty much stole it from two brothers, played by Nicky Furman and John Carroll Lynch, who had an idea and a system to replace the typical 50s drive-in into something that was more appealing to the clients. A meticulously designed and processed idea they were fine with to be small until a man with more ambitions decided otherwise. It's a story about two types of people, the creator and the businessman, and how time and time again one creates something the other runs away with, making millions in the process and, for some reason or the other, to completely screw over the people they got. or stole, the idea from the founder starts off as something sweet and benign, but as quickly as craftsmanship gets replaced with mass production, the demon of greed pops up, turning it into a sad, sinister tale. The founder is a historic tale and a warning to all creators out there. Whether you're a Ditko, a Wozniak, or Mac and Dick MacDonald, beware the salesman, for he will sell his soul and yours within a heartbeat. Smash that. Exorcism's Daughter is a Spanish exploitation movie that would have been better named by its original title Las Melancolicas, or alternate title The House of Insane Women. This mainly because it has, unfortunately, little to do with exorcisms. Where I expected this to be a type of non-exploitation movie that had exorcism, we have a group of women in an old school insane asylum who are used and abused by their keeps, and one, slightly more special woman, who is the daughter of a woman who was exorcised, and the doctor who falls in love with her. As you can see, the plot of the movie is pretty standard and features plenty of cliché tilde copyright s that could make this movie worth a watch. Unfortunately, it's quite boring and doesn't scratch the itches you'd want from a movie like this. It's not sexy, it's not scary, it's not satanic, it's not controversial, at least not for me. I'm slightly biased for viewing the dub movie, which despite adding to the flair doesn't uplift this movie to something better. Drop that. Over the Top was an unknown Sylvester Stallone movie that has quite the cult following. Stallone plays Lincoln Hawk, a truck driver trying to get by, who is asked to get his son from military school to drive to his mother, who is currently in the hospital. They try to mend their relationship while driving until tragedy strikes. Over the Top is not only a father and son and a coming-of-age story, but also one of the competitive sports called arm wrestling. Yes, arm wrestling is a competitive sport and Lincoln Hawk is very good at it. Throw in an angry grandfather who hates Sly's character, a big bad and scary competitor, and a large amount of championship prize money, and you get a movie that's typical for the 80s and, quite frankly, very enjoyable. Sly, of course, looks like Rambo from First Blood, which makes the movie subconsciously even more enjoyable. Over the Top gets mediocre reviews on the internet, but is quite the enjoyable father-son movie that'll be good for any kid and dad alike. Smash that. The Taming of the Shrew is a classic movie about a so-called old wife played by Elizabeth Taylor, who can't get a man because she is too difficult, also known as a shrew, who suddenly gets wooed and literally swept away by a grifter called Petruchio. The Taming of the Shrew is a 60s movie based on a play by William Shakespeare, and it's delightfully old-fashioned both by using Shakespearean English as well as its depiction of male and female relations. The man is what these days is called a toxic male, earlier a male chauvinist pig, but in those days it was just a man. Here the woman is a feisty woman who endures what happens to her and gets back without giving a peep. The Taming of the Shrew is an enjoyable movie if you enjoyed the classics and aren't afraid of some Shakespearean English, and more so if you're not a social justice warrior who is offended by everything that's shown in this delightfully comedic movie. Check that. The Good Shepherd is a Matt Damon movie about Edward Wilson, who lays the groundwork for the CIA after working for the USS during World War II. In a series of annoying and overly done time jumps, we follow Edward Wilson from childhood to his college years, where he is initiated into the infamous Skull and Bones Society and beyond. We follow spies and conspirators from the lowest to the highest reaches of power, all of them being connected as Bones men as they slowly rise in power over the decades, as they plot and convert historic events for the benefit of themselves and their nations. Unfortunately, the movie doesn't really go far into the secret society aspect of it all, which makes it a little bit less compelling to me. Add to that the love triangle between Matt Damon's character, Angelina Jolie, who is quite the Wayman in her actions, and Tammy Blanchard, who is the deaf good girl of the movie, and you get a film that tries to do much and doesn't do enough. The Good Shepherd is a convoluted movie that's edited like a spastic, that doesn't focus on the more interesting aspects of the plot and just tries to be too ambitious without delivering. Check that. The Green Knight is a visually stunning and interesting adaptation of an older Arthurian legend about a young squire who goes on a quest after beheading a Green Knight. The story gives us Dev Patel playing King Arthur's nephew as he travels to the Green Knight's home and encounters many characters that try to stop him on his way. The movie weaves the medieval look and mixes it with a dark, sometimes surreal fairy tale-esque vibe. The Green Knight is a movie you can't really talk about without spoiling too much. It's a tale with a not-so-hidden message, symbolism and other nifty finds. The encounters young Sergon has are all interesting and feel ripped from a fairy tale, which of course isn't that hard since it is an old legendary tale from an unknown age before books were a thing. The Green Knight is a must-see movie and probably one of the best movies that have been released the past year of our Lord 2021. Smash that. Equalizer 2000. A typical post-apocalyptic Mad Max ripoff featuring burly men in leather, bikes, militia on jeeps with guns, explosions, people burning people and evil men doing evil things. An evil organization called the Ownership hunts down our hero and deserter Captain Slade and tries to possess his custom-made and massive weapon called the Equalizer 2000. Will they get their hands on it and rule post-nuclear Alaska? Will the leather-clad hottie show her boobies in a sex scene with the hero? Will there be explosions? Will there be death and destruction? Will you recognize Robert T-1000 Patrick in a side role? Find out and watch the Equalizer 2000 and wonder how much better this movie could have been based on the title and the cover. Check that. There you have it. Another great episode, wasn't it? I bet you already clicked that bell icon so much your elderly neighbor is wondering who died. I'm sure you are already subscribed like the rest of the 70% of viewers that already are. I'm sure you hovered over that donation link and clicked that like button like it's no tomorrow. And if you haven't yet, turn that shit blue. Turn that shit blue hard. Anyways, that was it. See you next time. Toodaloo.